Just because I miss 1 week to catch up on a little sleep. Boy, hey, welcome to episode 130 something of the Corey Shepherd podcast. If it is 6 or 7, right? Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Listen, this podcasting thing need a union. You know? Men can't take a break. You know what I mean? But we back, and listen, thanks for everybody who taken and tuned into the episode with the great Nick Dean last week. If you didn't catch it, make sure you go and catch it, right? I'll release it on Friday. I know all your custom seeing me on Tuesday, like you know, like you see me today. But on a Friday, I put an episode with Nick Dean. I've been meaning to put for some time. Salute to Nick for making the time to come on board. A lot of the feedback was that it's very helpful. I already have commitment from Nick to come back from time to time. If you didn't listen to it yet, Nick is a financial coach and advisor. And he could get your money right, you know what I mean? He going to help get your money up and get your spending down, and everything going to be good, right? So take in the episode and we continue to have Nick on board. But all they going, and here from all a long time, big Easter weekend, Easter holidays and thing. I don't know, it's a short weekend, nobody didn't go listen to us. So they could give me all kind of talk about things coming out last week. I don't know what's going to happen with them numbers last week already. And then go set me up on no short week now. And to tell you the truth, the way the short week set up and thing, me and realize it's Tuesday, you know what I mean? It can be side. And this is something I like to do, you know. One of the reasons I don't like missing days and don't like missing episodes is because then I just see a list like this in front of me. And the list I have in front of me here, long. So let me dive in. My weekend was very interesting. This was an Easter weekend, right? I ain't do nothing for the Easter weekend. We take a little sweat in the area here, and I not a sweat. In theory, right, at our age, the idea of a morning sweat is a great thing because you get up early in the morning and you play some football. That used to always be a good feeling. And you know some bears will follow. And salute to Mr. and Mrs. Clint in the community here, because one of the days we see people coming with picnic basket full of goodies for the boys. I like that, you know what I mean? But that waking up early in the morning and sweat, as good as it feels when you do it, playing football while the sun is getting hotter and hotter is a bad idea for my health. My physical and my mental health can't take that jamming. But we did that Good Friday and Easter Monday morning, and that was pretty much my Easter weekend. I didn't really do much for the Easter at all. I just rock back. But last weekend, as promised, I went to Queen's Hall. I put on something nice. I mean, my wife put on something nice. I realized I had to get some clothes. Well, I can't say that after I talk to Nick, right? Maybe I can't afford clothes, but I put on something nice and we put on something nice and we went down in the Queen's Hall to take in a show by Ettienne Charles, by his quartet by the name of Traces. Now, I did promise this year that I was going to come out of the house more and be a part of the culture and not a talker about the culture alone, right? So I was glad that when they're trying not to miss Ettienne whenever he have shows, right? A few years ago, I went to one in Napa, I believe it was. And it was one of the best shows I ever see. I mean, you know me and the music, right? And in the mix, last time there was a gentleman by the name of Jorge Glem. who I admire. I don't understand what when he play Quattro, I just feel the done play. I don't feel to play no more when I see that man. I don't know how much hours he's playing, how his hand is moved so fast, how he know all them chords, why this man Quattro is sounding so clean. But he was also a part of this quartet. The quartet, by the name of Traces, is Ettienne Charles, Vincent Segal. Vincent Segal is from Paris, France. He's a cellist and percussionist. Jorge Glem, of course, Quattro from Venezuela. And Or Baraket. I hope I have that right. He's play a standing bass from Israel, right? From Israel living in Brooklyn. Let me tell you something. Salute to Traces. These is very, very bad musicians. These is bad boys. So I leave home and, as I say, I enter the condensed version of entertainment, right? The condensed version. I was saying this when I went to take in this little piggy could dance. What the hell was the name of the play again? This little piggy tired. We need condensed entertainment. And I find a way to get my own entertainment condensed. First, we reach late, right? Living in Shogunas and getting up to Queens Hall will prove it to be a little more of a challenge than I thought. Or getting up into town or to take in these shows. We reach a little bit late. Just in time to see the piano girl doing a few of her numbers. And I think she knows how to keep people involved. Apparently she was the opening act, so we didn't miss too much, right? But she was doing her cover versions and doing Savannah Grass and very interactive with the crowd and things. Salute her. I think she do really well in that show. And when we got there, well, first when we reached Wrong Savannah, we see a whole lot of traffic. And I was wondering, I said, but this show couldn't possibly be causing this traffic on Savannah. And it absolutely was. Queens Hall was packed. Parking was a scene. So they eventually tell us we could go up and park in President's Grounds. You know Trinidad sweet. When we going into park in President's Grounds, we were one of the first set of cars going in. A man done they collecting our $20 from everybody to park. He had nothing to do with Queens Hall nor President Ground. And I just having flashbacks of going to watch Beanie Man, Elephant Man, and John Hype down in Chaguaramas one time. And to park on the road, a man tried to charge me $20. This is I'm a B12 them days and now move out from UE. All my stuff is in the car. We now pack up the apartment and we go on the show. Smart, right? And I tell him, I searched $20. The government road me pay no $20. Well, when I'm walking back, the car is broken into and all my stuff gone. Now, I don't know if I'd pay the $20 if I would be safe. I probably would not, but that is being my mind. So I don't refuse these parking jockeys, if you want to call them that. But when I look at my wallet as usual, I have no money, especially after the episode with Nick, I broken like hell. So I pull out and I have a 10 and a couple singles. The man said, don't worry yourself, I'll take that. He just trying to take whatever he could get before the real security reach to allow people to park because parking was free on President Grounds apparently. And while we were walking down there, we hearing a performance going on, right? Which we later learned was the piano girl. But while we were walking down, it's who we used to see now parking backstage and hustling, putting on his shirts and coming out of the car, the great Ettienne Charles. Ettienne, like, he reached the same time with me, and Stacey showing me the person, and like, I ain't trusting now, man. It can't be him. I mean, if we hear performances, the show start. Boy, this man now reach, and the guy, Vincent Segal, who turned out to be the cellist and percussionist, one of the best or most world-renowned cellists, according to Ettienne. But we get in, and they almost tried to tell us we had to sit separately. I didn't understand that because, I mean, I guess we reached late. The show was sold out. Salute to them for being able to sell out a show like that. And they had it on 2 nights. And one first night, Saturday night in Queens Hall, next night in Sapo, down in South. So the venue was packed. But listen, if they tell me and Stacey can't sit down together, I was going back home, and I was going to message or whatever, I had an email or whatever for my money back. That wasn't happening. But they find us a seat. And it was really good taking the piano girl. She do her performance. And surprisingly, next on stage was Traces. Next on stage was what I would call the feature act, right? Because if everybody else on that bill was there, salute to everybody else, no knock on them, but they were, Ettienne and them was who sell out the show. So we get there to hear a few songs from the piano girl and then take in Traces. And they absolutely lived up to the hype. I think everybody there was entertained. I wish I knew the MC's name because he engaging. He had a real old man joke. And listen, you must know your crowd and know your audience, and it's a real old man audience. Salute to the Prime Minister was there as well. He's always at Ettienne shows. I think he's a genuine fan. But the man know he is real daddy jokes, and there's plenty daddies in this, so we laugh, and Stacey didn't find him funny at all, but I find he was a real good host, very engaging, very funny and everything. And he called on Ettienne and them next. So I get to see Ettienne and them for a quick, I would say, an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. And they did compositions mostly from the Traces album. Surprisingly, the Traces album is only available on CD and on vinyl. There's no streaming option for it. I mean, maybe there's some kind of revenue related decision, maybe in terms of how they make money from their music. I suppose you'll always make more money if you sell your physicals, I assume. But you had to buy that in the lobby along with Ettienne and then merch and everything. But they did say that if you buy the album, either via CD or LP, you will get a digital download link. So you have these songs for yourself. So I mean, I ain't buy it. To be honest, because from the time I have CD and record and thing, I confused. I had to study where to put them thing. Well, maybe I should have get it for the digital download. But I mean, I could always get that. But the most of the pieces they played were from that album. And I'll tell you something, right? As somebody who could play quattro a little bit and just a lover of music, the level that these four gentlemen playing on these instruments is amazing. To the point where I'm looking at Jorge Glem and I'm seeing his hand and I'm seeing what he's doing and I'm hearing something different and I'm trying to figure out if it's only four of them on stage. They might have a backing track or something. It is impossible for people to be playing so clean. But I mean, they professional and trained musicians. These men must be putting many hours every day and have put in their 10,000 hours long before coming to a stage like that. But the name of the group Traces is really, it really points to the fact that they play music with traces from several different places. Make sense? So they play a Moroccan type of song. They play a couple calypsos from here. They play some Cumana songs from Venezuela. So each one of them had their own compositions and so on. And it was amazing. The blend of music, the different types of music that they play, the intricacy of the solos. It was really a nice, tight set. And I was very, very surprised when Ettienne said, okay, we'll play two more. And that's it. Because to me, when they finish, the show done. Has been the headline acts. I know headline acts to go last. But that wasn't the case. They play a few more. It was Etienne's dad's birthday. And he played a few for his father. Oh, my papa. And listen, them things just go down so good. Eh? And to hear Queen's Hall singing back at them with somebody call and answer or singing along with them was really something else. And also something that I generally admire, where musicians could go impromptu. Because the Oh My Papa didn't seem planned, but everybody falling so sweet with that song, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's something that they play together before. I doubt. It seemed as though they just come up with it there and everybody improvised, but they're good enough to do that. And yeah, that was the show. So after that was an intermission. my mother and the old Albier, they were in the fete. We tried to find them and we find them during the intermission. But when that last band played, I watched Stacey and Stacey watch me. She said, boy, you staying here to see the rest of the performances? They had Dane Gulston, they had Charmaine Ford. Salute to Charmaine Ford. Charmaine Ford is usually at all our shows and so on. But I'll tell you that after Ettienne there and I see the intermission, I was like, boy, me is so sure if I go inside. I find this is ideal. An ideal show would be one little warm-up act. So, you know, something so that they open the crowd and then the headliner come on. And in 2.5, 3 hours, I outed me one intermission to go nothing and to come back. So I was so glad to get the experience I've been talking about for so long. So this is my new plan. But you see, if I'd go along with this plan, I might have bust on my average, you know, because I was gonna say that my plan is now. Anywhere I go in just in time for the headliners and then leave. Like I was watching the show with Sizzler Luciano. Is it Sizzler? I know it's Luciano Buju, Anthony B, who's not coming, and I believe Capleton might be the artist who come in for a show. And I mean, I would love to see a show like that, but after my experience in the Clash the other night, I can't stand up for so long and not staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning. And as much as I love Luciano, I don't want to see Luciano come and say no set of prayers again and do no little cartwheel and all these. I mean, come on, how often I will see that? I don't mind going and see Luciano alone. If I know, all right, Luciano coming on for an hour and 15 minutes and as well 15 minutes with a cartwheel and 20 minutes with a prayers, I don't mind going and taking that, but these long shows, this is not designed for people our age, you know. Show's supposed to be short and let man go in their place. So I get what I wanted. Salute to Ettienne, Vincent, Jorge, and or Baraket. Salute, bad musicians and a great show and a title show too because we get out of there. As soon as I see my mother and thing, I bongs. And we went to a town restaurant. This is what I'm more dinner and a movie kind of style I feel is my kind of entertainment now. And we always kind of end up by town because town have a buzz. You know, me and restaurants with a little buzz and a little, you know what I mean? Some happening. You have people coming and going. Everybody dress up nice. Who are birthday, who are anniversary, who's graduation time. I like that kind of energy in a restaurant, right? And you're kind of guaranteed to get at a town. So I went in town and as predicted, they didn't have any tables because the place was full. So they sent us by the bar. But boy, let me tell you something. Everything, life is great. This life is beautiful. Because everything have a story, you know. We go on and we sit down by the bar and the fella come by the bar and start to make small talk. No, I don't want you to think I laughing at people who have little speech impediments and them kind of thing because I'm not, but I am. Because this one have a kind of little stammer, you know what I mean? When it's stopper, and every DJ. The man have a light little stammer. I don't laugh at this, right? I know it's serious matters and things. The man have a little stammer, but it's not the kind of stammer where it has some people who stutter and they get a little preview. So if they're gonna say, if you want something to drink, they say you want anything to drink. So you don't know where he going already, and I could say, yeah, rum and coke. You know what I mean? We can help each other through this little ordeal. But this man is not the preview stutter, it's a silent stutter where you're seeing like something is in the brain and it's not leaving. So you had to wait. You can't anticipate something, you had to wait. But salute to my boy, he was basically telling me, listen, people just want to rush for table, you come by the bar, you get an individual service, you might even get your food faster because we walk in the order in the way self, whereas we're by the tables and you had to wait to see a waiter, he might pass, he might now pass back to check you, you're done hungry already. Now granted, it take about the same length of time that Ettienne and them take playing as the length of time this man take to tell me this thing. But we staying by the bar, you know what I mean? The man is a vibe. And one thing he also added was, and by the bar again, good conversation, right? No, I don't know about you, right? I don't know how often you and your wife alone just get to go out, or you and your husband just get to go out, you know, couples night and date night. I don't know how often always do that, but to tell you the truth, we don't get to do it very often. And when I do it, I kind of want to talk to my wife, you know what I mean? I like my wife, but I like my wife more when she having a few, you know what I mean? When you see she taking a nice little piece of music and she drink 2 in them per se, I like that. But boy, my guy is a part of the conversation. Cause I asked him about duck. I say, what is the situation with duck in here? I say, we get some different meat something and share up some, you know what I mean? Eat something nice, you know what I mean? We out. We dress up nice. And that man say, nah, boy, duck expensive. People don't mind their own duck if you get your own duck. I was like, mind your own duck. I was like, what the hell is this man talking about now? And he is not letting up on this duck conversation. Listen, it's one of them things, you know. It's what, you know, sometimes you go a place and you're having a good time and thing, but it's just a couple things that end up standing out. Well, this man is a couple things because he's not letting up on this duck conversation. And you can mine duck and you can mine pig and this dude is going on and on. But as wives typically do them, wives tend to save the day. So while I trying to figure out, and you know me, I talk a lot of things when I'm in a room by myself, but when I'm among people and things, I was like, yeah, duck and pig, yeah, you could mine a duck and pig. You know what I mean? I in the mix with the man. And Stacey eventually say, could I have some water? The pot, you know what I mean? And get a man to make her wrongs and then turn she whole chance. Now she make it obvious that me and the man talking, so don't fit back in. But all in all, and you know the thing about it is the same lady who tell us it had no table. She come to try to save, you know. She said, y'all still want the table? But I know feeling bad, the man done talk we into the bar thing, why the bar is a better vibe to sit down and eat. So that was basically we night out. We stay with the man hook us up well, the food was great. Sorry I ain't get his name, you know what I mean? Just ask for stomachs. But yeah, it was nice to have a little night out with the wife and have a little time, you know what I mean? These date night things, sometimes you don't pay. Well, me, let me talk for myself, I don't pay enough attention to them things. And plenty time has passed. Like we had a resolution last year to go once a month and do something where it's just both of us, right? The little boy getting big, he could stay home. He don't want to come nowhere with we. So we not to go and go to no kids menu and study no McDonald's. We could go somewhere nice like two grown people and enjoy something. You know what I mean? But salute to wives, salute to wives, salute to wives. On the topic of wives, let's talk about this now because all they going bad this week, you know. All they going bad. I mean last week when I recorded, all going bad. Because I see my boy Hakimi, a football player at PSG. Apparently, well, I ain't getting into what Hakimi do and what he didn't do, right? I'm going to the end result. The end result is that the date nights and them thing wasn't working out for him. So his wife, it's divorce time, you know what I mean? They came to the end of the road. There will be no more. No, wait, before I get into that, I really wanted to play Ettienne and them play a song. They only forgive me. Ettienne and them play a song in that show that I really want to touch on real quick, because they said that this week would have been the 101st birthday of the great Lord Kitchener, and it would be remiss of me not to give only a little slice of the tune that Ettienne included in his concert, and also made sure to tell us that he plays all over the world. So take this in from me, right? And then I'll come back to my boy Hakimi and tell all you if on the man's side who's to get half, or on the woman's side who's to get half. But it's love all the same.
It was dark, dark, dark.
Yes.
In a big, big park. I felt like a king upon the throne. Me and Imelda lying alone. When I heard her talk and a creeping walk, as I look around frightfully, we were lying in the center of a cemetery. You talk about
run,
I nearly break me head.
Run. Living, running from the dead.
Run. I go say, don't run me lad. Come on, let me play a game of card. Well, it's now a running in truth. My foot stick in a mango root. I fall along inside the tomb. I get up with a zoom, zoom, zoom. What had me sad and really mad, I was just about to start
a little romance with my sweetheart.
I kissed her twice, just feeling nice, when a voice said, Mister, you brave to be bringing your girlfriend on top of me grave. You talk about run, and nearly bust me head. The living running from the dead. I go say, don't run me lad. Come on, let me play a game of card. Well, it's now a running in truth. Me put stick in a mango root. I fall along inside that tomb. I get up with a zoom, zoom, zoom. The scream I make, I show the whole world shake. I know in big trouble, this time I show I see the devil. I see a tall white horse on top a big black cross. As I ball out Ogama dead, the horse say, kids, come go to bed. You talk about run, I nearly bust me head. The living running from the dead. I go say, don't run me lad. Let me play a game of card. Well, it's now running in truth. Me foot stick in a mango root. I fall along inside a tomb. I get up with a zoom, zoom, zoom. As I reach the street, a tall gentleman I meet. I was feeling so happy to tell him my pride in the cemetery. He said, I can understand, you're a wild young man, but still you not to be blamed. When I was alive, I was just the same. You talk about run, I nearly bust me head. The living running from the dead. I go say, don't run me lad. Come let me play a game of card. Well, it's now a running in truth. My foot stick in a mango root. I fall along inside a tomb. I get up with a zoom, zoom, zoom.
You see man and woman business in it. So if you're living under a rock and you don't know, Ashraf Hakimi, popular or world-renowned footballer, you know what I mean? I try not to talk about football these days where Chelsea going, you know. But his wife is getting a divorce from this gentleman. And only after the divorce, or midway through the divorce filing, they found out that all his assets are in his mother's name. And men have him as a hero among men, and women have him as the wickedest man ever live. Although, I mean, in fairness, they have some men in support there too. There are some men say, boy, that's a wicked man. He should have, you know, is that your wife? You can't have all the assets in your mother's name. And there are some women who also saying, hey, you can't be taking half a man things. Now, what I want you to do for me, right? Which I realize that when I say this, people generally don't do it. But I want you to do this for me today. Go back to episode 14. 14 is money in the play, right? If you go back to episode 14, you will see one called bonus. The name of the episode is Blue Silk, right? When you go back to episode 14, look for Blue Silk bonus. And you will hear a gentleman by the name of Gerard Gray, who is a lawyer, attorney in Trinidad and Tobago, talking about what people might be entitled to in divorce settlements in Trinidad and Tobago. And I just want you to appreciate that. You see this idea that people have here, or the people who celebrating this and saying it's so great, and looking into putting everything on their mother name and saying, don't bother to try this in Trinidad. No. In Trinidad, when you decide you're getting married, better sign something saying half is yours, because half look like is the best outcome you could possibly come up with. If you're the man in the situation, or if you're the biggest earner in the situation. If you're a woman and you making plenty more money than your man, and all you're married, better you put half in his name one time. Save yourself the court documents and the court fees and them things. So I don't know, all these people who saying they're following this man, all they follow him. See if that woman can get half over your mother want to. In this country, and I mean, in fairness, it might be possible to get Gray to come back on to hear his take on this and maybe help always set up your mommy trust fund. But boy, the internet was in a quandary. The local internet, local Twitter, local Facebook, people didn't like this situation. Some people in full support. It was polarizing. We'll put it like that, right? Now, one of the things that I find, and maybe just to add to it as well before I go on to my own findings, is that forget the word marriage, right? Marriage is not in church and with contracts signed in this country neither. If you live with somebody for too long, you shall be considered married. So your best bet might be a kind of stick and move policy, you know what I mean? You have to stick and move. You don't soak, you don't let people hang around by you. You don't hang around by them too long. You have to keep a separation of church and state, because it could get if you want to keep everything you have. Now, the question is, do you want to keep everything you have? The other question is how you come up with the things you have. And when you're in a household, let me talk about man and woman, right? If I am the only income, I don't want to say primary or, you know, if I make all the money in the household, right? I bought the house, I buy all the assets, I buy all the things you have, I get your allowance and all them things, right? The argument in this country apparently is that this woman help you build and she take care of your household and she provide love and support for you and what's again your children and everybody, right? The thing about it is I hear that, right? And maybe I subscribe to that. But what I don't understand is the argument I seen online that when a woman with a man, she just give him all this support and love and help her. And I thinking, but so what the man does do? The man does only give money. If I'm making all the money in my house, it is impossible for me to have a relationship with a woman if all I giving her is money. This is how you giving support and love and kindness and care and then it's go to household chores and I just do chores too. No, let me don't talk too hard in this house and get bored by saying I just do chores, right? But there's a split in how chores are done here. You know what I mean? I might wash somewhere sometimes, then my wife go wash she wears most of the time. I might talk to Zachary sometimes, but she just talk to him most of the time. You know what I mean? I might pick him up in schoolwork by saying, boy, don't study your mother. Why you think you do? My contribution to schoolwork is Zachary is stressing out your mother and your mother is stressing me out. So you're taking it out on me. Do your schoolwork, right? So let me say that my contribution to the household is 20%. You remember that 80-20 rule I was telling you about last time? I just get 20% of the household support and the household cleaning and cooking and washing. Let me say that's not real generous, but let me say I just do 20%. So I'm paying for everything and I just do 20%. Right? I'm not paying for everything, but I just say if I was the only income earner and I paying for everything and I do 20%, then how you could just walk away with half of everything I have? Let me say 50-50 is the agreement, right? So and if that is the agreement, I find we should put that in the wedding contract one time. But apparently, according to my boy Gray, this country's laws do not allow for anything called a prenuptial agreement. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I will get Gray to come back on it because I don't want to misquote him or anything, but I'll talk to him and see if he could jump on the next episode and clarify some of this for me. But go back to episode 14, Blue Silk, and you will see that he said it for himself. There's no prenup here. But I find when you sign the marriage contract, it should have in it that the maximum any one party could take away from this deal is 50% of the total marriage assets. So let me say that when we married, your net worth is 100,000 and my net worth is 100,000. Not even net, your gross worth is 100,000, the whole thing. Because we have a certain amount of debts and everything involved. Let me say the whole total picture is this. So the most you could get out of this is 50-50 is how things could split up. I add up what you have, I add up what you bring, and I add up all they get together, and 50-50 is the most. And then we should start to whittle down from there. So if they say 50-50 and you earn 100% of the income, duck some points from she 50 one time. Then it's 55-45. If I earn all the money all over the years, let me go 60-40. You could get a thing, yes. But how you get half. If you do any household work, like she do all the household work, you duck back some points again. So we go in, instead of 60-40, we go 59-41. They had to have some kind of better balance and you could just take half. This is why, or let's say any man is a little boy and he's still on the mother and mama's boy. This is why man has had to try these kind of tricks, because why it had to be that I earn this man playing football. He would be, now granted the woman, his wife who filing, is a star in her own right and a top model and all that. But when I saw something showing there, both their incomes, and the man making a little bit more coin than the woman, right? I think this is usually the case. If I had to make a guess with no kind of evidence at all, I would think that a lot of times the man would be making more money than the woman. I don't think it's because man's smarter than woman. I don't think it's because we're bigger or we're stronger or anything like that. I think it's because women prefer to be with a man who, I want to choose my words delicately here, they have their own assets and their own ability to make money and they have their own money and all that, right? But what they don't want is for no man to threaten their nest egg. So they tend to be more inclined to settle with a man who already settled, you know what I mean? Who doesn't make his money. They don't have young man ambitions, you know, the money doesn't make, or somebody who making more money than them. That is a usual dynamic, if you ask me, man. Woman ain't looking for no man who broke. And I heard it on Blaze and them show this morning too, talking about the fact that women saying outright, I am a thing, but I don't want a man who broke, and I don't want a man who this. A few of them calling and say they support a man over the years and things, but I sometimes wonder, how would they feel if they support that man because he broke himself and he had no job and he this and that, right? And these days, they used to say women is talk among themselves and say all kind of thing about you. Now it's a group chat. They say anything about you right there and you know. Why it's when you're home there? But, you know what I mean? A woman said, and I don't know what she mean by this. You might be able to help me. She say, if he ain't so good in the financial area and he ain't working, but he packing, I go mind him. I don't know what packing mean. Packing could be like suitcase. But she say, if he packing, she don't mind. She can work with him, you know what I mean? But I wonder sometimes how this woman would feel if that same man who she mind all them years and take care of all his expenses, all he needs, all he wants, all he wishes, everything. I finance this whole operation. That man could go to court and just claim half of what you have. And that's a man so wicked they will do it too. And I find it's a wicked that a woman will just say, listen, no matter what I already have or what our half of what you have, our half of what we build. And the idea of a man putting everything in his mother's name, I think would be greeted by society, a certain percentage of society, with some vitriol that I don't think would be equal if people were to find out that a woman had all her assets in her father's name or in her mother's name, and when it's divorce time, they get nothing? Because a lot of people who find this thing so bad. I remember people being in an outrage when Mary J. Blige they published her child support figures. No, was it child support or spousal support she had to pay when she divorced, and she had to pay this man a certain alimony and child support? A lot of people who talking about this were also upset when Wendy Williams was made to pay Kevin Hunter, I think was his name, a spousal support or whatever support they might need. And boy, listen, this whole conversation about this vexing no matter how you take it, because I was surprised to hear people still saying, well, you know, in a household, not talking about these two in particular, I just don't mind in Trinidad, for instance, you're married and the woman do so much in the household, and I think yes, that have a value, but is that value half of whatever any man make? When you're talking about the value of taking care of a household, that could be quantified. If I look at the best housekeeper, the best homemaker, them things have salaries attached to them that I could say, okay, if I was to hire my own staff, there is this amount that will cost me over the years of having a household. If I was to get somebody to see about maturing, that have a cost too. And if we want to quantify love and affection or downtime or lay down time, that have a going rate too. There's charge of that hour. So if you want to go back and quantify, I always feel like if the blanket statement that it could just be half is I don't know where who come up with this and how they come up with these things, because I don't like the idea that if you divorce, I just have to give you half of my things. And I also don't like the idea that if we divorce, I have to take half of what you want. Now, I can tell you now that I ain't doing it. If I with somebody, if Stacey making a loud set of money, let me leave it where I come with, brother. Because I'm not going to be the half dude. And imagine she now had to put money for me. No, let me, you see me, that is not for me. You have to put money for me now to see about me and things. So, no. I have a little too much pride. Call it false pride or whatever you want. But if a woman, any woman, had to mind me after we divorce by paying me a stipend every month, what you call it, alimony or whatever it is, I choose poverty. I choose hardship and strife. Let me figure out who podcasts I could produce. Let me see what ads I could get for this podcast. Let me lecture about 100. Let me figure out what's going on to pay my little bills, Papa, not me. I don't think I could deal with that. That is not for me. But by Calypso, the stories are told, you know. Now I tell all you when I hear Jorge play, I don't feel to play Quattro again, you know. But here what the great power, I open the episode with power, you know. I come in. But here what the great power had to say. This song is an interesting song, you know, because my favorite version of this song is Power. But I feel the person who sing this song and make it most popular is a man by the name of Conqueror. You know about Conky? And then recently when I'm looking at, you know, half of the research you get to do on Calypso is find in the YouTube comments by a few people who know a lot about Calypso, and his comments a lot on YouTube. And apparently this song was written by Valentino. But here what they say. If a poor man love a woman and he wants she bad, he had to lie like if he mad and tell she he have house, car and property. Cause if he only play honest and tell the truth, he can't conquer the old brute, not he. Because he broke and ain't got no money. Because money they love, money they crave, money go send them to their grave, but not me. Them woman can't spend me money. But I like to see chest jumping, behind bumping, they walking in saga thing just because they want to spend me dollars. They could be pretty like the moon, pretty like the sun. If I have $1 million, they still ain't getting none, not me. They can't spend me money. Padabadai, padabadai, pam 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 padabam padai, padabam pam pam padabam. A woman tell me the other day, she ain't care what nobody say. If a man ugly and have money, he could trap she. That's the show, you ain't bound to be good looking. Longs you have all the cash is king. Don't mind how you're walking funny, or your face big like mines and bumpy. Because money they love, money they crave, money go send them to their grave, but not me. They can't spend my money. Just jumping behind bumping, they walking in saga thing just because they want to spend my dollars. They could be pretty like the moon, pretty like the sun. If I have $1 million, they still ain't getting none, not me. They can't spend all my money. But they might be able to spend half, right? The way this thing working out, you never know. But let me close that by saying, to wrap up this topic, right? At the end of the day, no matter what I say and what I feel, you see my little household, I run my household a certain way, yes? I think the idea of man being provider and woman making money and things, right? Let me strip all them things aside. If we go back and we take out all the capitalism, right? Because capitalism is contrived and very, very man-made. If we go back to, I don't want to say caveman days, but let me say capitalism fall down, right? And all this police and security and all them things, I think people may be a lot more dependent on men than they think. And I'm saying that to both men and women, right? Because the idea of independence is a funny thing. If all fall down. Independence is all well and good, where we could go and buy a house and you in a house or apartment by yourself and that gated thing and security and all them thing, everything taken care of in an air-conditioned car that lock carrying it down the road. When we reach Book of Eli, or was the movie with Will Smith and the dog? You're going to realize how important men are, you know. And notice I keep saying men, eh? Because all the men who feel like this tonto thing, when all fall down, we're going to need groups of men to come together to protect this little village we call Trinidad, or whatever your little village or your little tribe is. If your tribe is your family, all the men in your family are going to have to come together to protect whatever you want to call assets, but mostly to protect one another, right? Because when it comes to dog eat dog, and this place come with, I tell you, when it's Booker Eli style, you ain't going to be able to make it by yourself. You know? When all the guns fall down and you have to fist, and you have to hunt to get your food and things, we're going to be very, very dependent on groups of men. And I would say as well that we go realize how dependent and important we are where groups of women concerned when that happen as well. So this idea that this one little couple who have their own dynamic could make some decision or contribute to all the decisions we make about man and woman is a joke. And just how power talk about how man like woman, because you see at the end of the day, man money had to spend and all the things people like to play and things, right? The power put it perfectly. I want to use power again to tell you why at the end of the day, man money go have to spend. Listen, power have a song, right? One of the lines in his song is, man go want what you have, and if they can't pay for it, let them starve. That's a song named Don't Cry Lucy. Man go want what you have, and if they don't pay for it, let them starve. Hear this.
Extravagant from India, the world's greatest Indian singers, musician and dancers also, but the comedian soon steal the show. Now I like Tonton, you like Tonton. I love Tonton.
Who I go like
Tonton? When they announce the show on TV, cultural shows always interest me. All my Indian friends meet me and say, "Boy, you must see Tung and Manade." Now they like Tung, I like Tung, they love Tung. Who ain't gonna like Tung? When I went to TV for show, I never know India have talent so. I'll walk through thunder, lightning and rain to see that comedian Tun again. Now they love Tun, I love Tun, they like Tun, whoever likes Tun.
So if you like Tun, if you like power, you like Tun, maybe just don't take Tun, just pay for half, you know what I mean? You might get to keep your half, but either way, you know, it comes down to one thing, right? It comes down to one simple thing. You want to pay up front? What you want to do? You want to pay up front or you want to pay after? You want the convenience of, being home and meeting it every time you wake up and you're yawning. What you want out of life? You're willing to lose half or you're willing to pay up front? You know what I mean? Because certain, the rental, when you're renting, you have to pay up front. This is how this thing is work out. If it's a rental, you pay and then you enjoy. But if you want to buy, if you're playing for keeps, you enjoys and then you pays. It's a simple equation, but the world has set up the way it's set up already. And this is as much as I make it light or something, right? These is the kind of things that keep everybody lively and keep everybody going and keep hypothetical conversations, because I think one woman I see on Facebook put it well, that man and woman are, these most of the broken man and woman arguing, you have a couple $100 in the bank. Me and nothing for nobody to take half of. If somebody take half of everything I have now, I feel like I still have the same amount. Poverty is poverty. So I don't know what we arguing about this hypothetical situation about two multi-millionaires having their issues about how they will split or any kind of thing like that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it matters at all. Man and woman could always be these kind of issues. And man and woman is the greatest thing it having, you know what I mean? Because this is where I was reading another story last week about the Dalai Lama, right? I ain't staying on this too long, and I intend to get out of this episode, But when I see the thing with the Dalai Lama, I watch it and I left it right which part it there. I say, right, that is not your concern. You don't know nothing about no Dalai, neither no Lama. You don't know nothing about these things, right? You know what I mean? But for some reason, I don't know if it was TikTok or something I was scrolling through or something, I hear the actual statement. I mean, you know the story with this, right? Dalai Lama, he tell a boy to suck his tongue, a little child, right? And let me tell you something. I see that story and it was good enough for me to just see it and ignore it or know that it happened and understand what he is and that kind of thing. But hearing it was something else, because this man said this in a microphone in front of what sound like a lot of people. And it leads me to believe that this is what these people are accustomed doing. And the apology that these people put out saying, yeah, he's a man who's play a little game with Trin and I'm stick out his tongue every now and again and tease a little Trin and play, but this was inappropriate. Also tells me that he have enough enablers and handlers who making sure that these situations disappear. And what I'm going to tell you next is, boy, listen, take your suck tongue off mic, you know what I mean? Because don't put it on the mic next time and how you having to apologize, because they see this idea of deity and holy men and thing. In the words of the great Jade, I was talking to my partner the other day, and he said very, very simply, there are no holy men. Holy men do not exist. Man is man. You understand? And man have desires. And for some of those desires, we'll pay up front, and for some of those desires, we'll pay after. And you see, this world we live in where this man who is holier than thou and had to act a certain way and act like he don't like nobody, or he have no need for carnal pleasure, or he could just fast for his whole life. Men like that, if we put them in positions and uplift them like that, they are going to pay after by weirdo things like this and things that are not acceptable by society. Understand that if you like the Dalai Lama or the Dalai Lama or whatever his name be, or you like a priest or you like a pundit, a Hindu, what do you call it? Imam, pundit, priest, pastor, or spiritual leader like that. Just understand that these is men too, man. And all them sort of skilled. Them men are normal, you know what I mean? Them is I am. Man, this is normal man. This is normal man. Let see nice woman passing. Oh, nice man. Whoever it is they like. Them men like what they like. It's just like everybody else. And they are no holy men. And when you put people on this pedestal, it's too much of pressure, and they will pay after, and society will pay after. And unfortunately, it could come out with a little boy who probably traumatized by this experience. He didn't know what to do. I didn't see the video and thing, and I didn't want to see it. It's just something that when you look at them things, I feel like things like that will continue to happen. Should I talk about the church and the scandals and so on? Let me move on. U.S. Embassy have a news site. Enough on these people, you know what I mean? So I was looking at this, and I was the initial article had said that they had bought the country club. Right now, the country club have a lot of history, where our own culture and our just Trinidadian history, right, from way back. And if I'm not mistaken, the country club would have been where, if it's not the country club, if it's not the same compound, it's very, very close, where Amar had his studio, where some of the greatest recordings that ever come out of this country, including, I believe, the great Stevie J and the Hitmakers was here making songs for Biggie Smalls at the time under Bad Boy. And it might be on the same compound. I could be wrong about that. But I mean, it's a very, what do you want to say, popular site, a huge location. I was doubtful as to whether they were moving the embassy there or not, because the embassy is on a relatively small compound. At least the part that they're conducting business in is not a very, very big building on around the savannah there, on the western side of the savannah. So when I saw them going into a big space like that, I was wondering, like, what was the issue there? Like, how are they, what are they trying to do? Make a better experience for our rejection? You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I wasn't sure what was the move. But salute to my boy Jade again. Jade was telling me bigger political issues could be at play, where China making superpower moves, right? Including making currency deals with other countries and so on, maybe trying to get yuan to replace the US as the globally recognized currency. And has been working with several countries to invest in those countries for their loyalty, if I could put it like that very loosely, right? And where the country club is right opposite the Chinese embassy, well, obliquely opposite. They have a big, nice new building there. And I'm wondering if this global situation where they have the little battles going on might work out better for us, where they say, listen, because if we decide now to start to apply for visas to China and get cheap flights to go China over the States, you think people will start going China if they're seen as more of a metropolis or a metropole than the States? You think it's possible? So I was hearing him talking about that, and I was wondering, like, listen, I wonder if there's really bigger political powers at play. I mean, the bigger issues for me is, where are they going to make we line up now? Like, we still had to line up on the government pavement, like we had to line up on the road, what that road is? Serpentine Road, what's the name of that road? We still had to line up on the street if only have a big compound, so we still had to go and pay for parking somewhere else, so they're going to open a little passport picture place nearby. What's the situation? Can we drive into the compound comfortably, park our cars, go and wait in some nice air condition for our name to call and think, or is this same situation only going to run? I always look at Jamaica's embassy. At least at the time I was there, they have a U.S. embassy, kind of like Legani area, you would call them, maybe heading to Papine, maybe. But the interview is on the pavement. They have some little windows on the, how I could describe this, boy? Like, I can't find a place to liken it to here. But it feels like the box office outside the Oval. I mean, that'd be real old if you remember that, right? But you used to go and buy a ticket from the hole in the wall in the Oval. It was like that. You're standing on the pavement, and they have a glass cutout where you're seeing the person. So the exact thing you see in the embassy when you go to apply for a visa, when you're doing the interview, they see that from the pavement. And they're talking into a mic now. So when you ask, what's your salary, you have to say your salary into that microphone. If they repeat it, other people, because it's a speaker you're hearing from, and everybody hears when you get rejected and thing. I find it's like not just humiliating, but is undignifying a word? Is the opposite of dignifying. You know what I mean? They should treat people. I mean, yes, I come in to apply to come in your country and thing, but don't make me feel like I'm begging. Like if I can't get there, then my life over. And I'll come to you and on my hands and knees and come on the pavement and rain or shine. You know what I mean? Umbrella selling nowadays because it's hot sun and heavy rain. I'll go and do this interview and like why, you know? So I'm hoping that the U.S. Embassy going into a sprawling compound like the what was Country Club is going to lead at least to a better experience for the average person who going in there apply. But somebody tell me more likely to lead to increased visa processing fees again, which just went up recently. So who knows? And I would love to hear from them as to when they plan to start operating from there and move from. I keep thinking Murray Street. I feel it's because of the topic before. You know, what the hell is the name of the street with the embassy again, man? Wrongly Savannah, then, whatever that street name. So that's something I'll keep an eye on. I want to see how that goes and what they're going to create for the experience for us overall. And in as much as I think maybe the last episode I recorded, I was talking about how do we as individuals try to earn more US dollars these days. And with China making their moves, maybe there's another thing we had to focus on. Maybe not US dollars mightn't be the most important thing to make right now. Maybe we want to try to make the money of the up and coming superpower, you know? But definitely we had to do something about our foreign exchange situation. And I feel like on an individual level, there's a lot of things we could do. I mean, there are some things that I do. I'm pretty open to share what I do to earn some US. Salute to my sister. Put my business in the road a little bit. I was able to get a US account open in the States so that I could collect US for little jobs that I might do with that paying me in US, or anybody who paid me from abroad, I would rather they pay to that account. So whenever I travel, I don't have to worry about getting US cash. I could use cash over there in US and not worry about that. But I need more income streams in US. So I'll talk about how I get a little bit of US now coming in at me. And y'all tell me how you get yours now. Let me see if we could have something to talk to Nick Dean about. Let me have some money together now. What we want to be having now. But I did see an article with somebody. This is about Peter Christopher in the Guardian, with a few local people who have found their way to making some US. So the headline is "Local Earns Forex from Online Service." I get interested one time because I said to myself, well, hey, this is exactly what I'm looking for, opportunities to earn US. I've never monetized this podcast page on YouTube because I just want to play the Calypso and thing, and it might be the only way I could get to play it without having to pull it. But I could tell you that if now that I have a US account and I could figure out how to monetize, maybe these numbers could add up to a few dollars more for me. But when I see this article saying a local earns Forex from online service, I want to make myself available. So it's go on to say this from Peter Christopher in the Guardian. It's been quite common to hear someone joke about going on Murray Street when they aren't happy with their financial situation. This is why Murray Street on my mind. In recent times, that joke has taken on a 2023 spin. And it goes like this. I think I'm going to start an OnlyFans. And these are not the words of Peter Christopher. These are my words. I think I'm going to start an OnlyFans. You know what I mean? What's the situation? In retail, they have all these conversion metrics and so on, right? And I was talking to somebody about this recently where they were talking about monetizing the podcast, and they were telling me, well, why don't start a Patreon? You know what I mean? Get people to pay to listen to words that I come to talk about every week. I kind of like the idea a little bit, you know. I wonder how much all you who listening here willing to put a US dollars behind, you know what I mean? What could I charge as a Patreon service? Like if I do 2 podcasts a week, or they'll pay for the second one. That's what Joe Budden is do, right? Joe Budden is get 2 free podcasts a week. He's do Wednesday and Saturday. This is one of my favorite podcasts, right? But then you could pay $25 a month is what I pay, and you get also what you call it thing? A Monday podcast and a Friday podcast. So you get podcasts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So I mean, there's a little bit of a bonus content for us. As well as that's pretty much the only benefit. I mean, he's one of the number 1 podcasters out there, so he could do that. But I wonder if I do a next episode every week, what will happen? But you see the way thing working right now, struggling to get 1 episode out a week. Anyway, we go talk about that after, right? Let me focus on the OnlyFans first. Let me talk about the conversion ratio. What percentage of my listeners would be willing to see me? You know what I mean? If I do a OnlyFans, what the situation will look like? He said, however, there are signs that the joke is becoming a growing consideration in TNT. OnlyFans is a social media subscription service that has gained notoriety for its vast amounts of adult content. with consumers paying subscription fees to individual creators. So the way it works, you subscribe to OnlyFans, or you go on OnlyFans for free, but then you could subscribe to whichever creator you want. So if you see somebody on OnlyFans that you like, you pay her or you pay him direct, or them, you pay them directly, and you see them provide content for you on a periodic basis, or shouldn't I say it like that, but big pause there, but you know what I mean? Provide content for you whenever you could log in and see to them. Some of them they will go live and you could see them live. Some of them will have chats and so on. It might be a bad idea. The online platform, which was created in 2016, has made over 1,000 of its content creators millionaires as a result. I like this. Daniel Bad Barbie Bergoli was best known for going viral after uttering the phrase "cash me outside" during her TV appearance as a 13-year-old. I know I botched that sentence, right? That was what she was famous for when she was 13. Became a millionaire 6 hours after she started her OnlyFans account, which she started after turning 18. That was a little creepy there, Peter. You had to include that in this. I was like, okay. Last year, she confirmed that she had earned over US $50 million. Who the hell is Bad Barbie? $50 million from OnlyFans. I would not think that is the kind of figures they're talking about. Bergoli isn't the only public figure who has profited from the site, as famous rappers, models, even news personalities have supplemented their income. Who like Cuomo have supplemented their income through the site. Not only public figures have profited from OnlyFans. Last month, Business Insider profiled creator Jasmine Jaffa, who quit her job as an attorney to become a full-time content curator on the site after she made more than $180,000 in the first 3 months of this year through OnlyFans. Let me tell you something. The ideas I come in to tell you about, you ain't gonna make no $180,000. No, better we look at this OnlyFans thing. Let me fast forward. I want to see if they're talking about any Trinis on OnlyFans. All right, let's go. Several local content creators who use the platform opt to withhold their identity due to similar concerns. While the Muse was the only content creator who agreed to speak with the Business Guardian about being a content creator for the site. So the Muse is the name that they're using for this person that they get to talk about it. I like it a lot. Muse, right? She said since she joined the platform, she's been seeing more people expressing interest in setting up accounts, but she's warned that it's a risky venture. The numbers are climbing every day in TNT, with people who want to join OnlyFans because it's safer and you don't need to sell yourself physically. You sell yourself virtually, you know what I mean? But the sad truth of the matter is that not everyone has thick skin. Not everyone thick neither. To shake off sexual shaming or knows the method of how to be successful in this career. It actually takes skills, I would think, knowledge and personal self-work. If you're thinking about joining, just know that it's already saturated. Let me tell you something. Everybody who do you ever notice people who get into a business and they tell you, boy, that's saturated, boy, too many people doing that and thing. You know what I mean? So she said it's saturated worldwide, and only the creators who produce quality Only the creators who produce quality or give away a lot for a little are making money. It's either or, no in between, the content creator said. The Muse said the platform's international base has allowed her to garner foreign exchange, but while it has worked for her benefit, she also hoped her work would help push TNT as well. Okay. I also showcase my beautiful country locations in my content. I like that. She's showcasing the country, you know what I mean? I try my best to wear our local brands. Local brands of what? I try my best to wear our local brands while in my own unique way influencing others to buy. I employ graphic designers, photographers, and video editors. I've created a small community of people where I support my job, and I couldn't imagine what it might be like if my source of income did not exist. We struggle as a country to bring to life other aspects of our entertainment industry besides Carnival. I think we struggle in that too, Muse. If I accumulated a lot of foreign exchange and wish to be supported to build more, I have accumulated a lot of foreign exchange and wish to be supported to build more. I mean, I supported Malak, bro. I showcase the good parts of my culture online for tourist attraction. My job is taboo, but I love my country, and I want to help it grow economically. I salute that, man. But I'm not understanding. I'm feeling like what she trying to say. She's a cultural ambassador as well as the virtual selling of, you know what I mean? Yeah. However, she noted that the country had a contradictory stance when it came to sexuality and sex work, as there were obvious elements of society that would connect with content creators such as herself. I'll be quite frank though, TNT doesn't care if you sell your body within an artistic nature because of our carnival culture being one of the country's highest on the list of consumption, and our country being one of the highest on the list for the consumption of pornography. I can only speak for myself. The content I create is a form of self-expression to which I feel to explore different aspects of my body in return for money. Listen, Muse, here what's going on. You do what you do, right? Don't make too much article and thing, because this is real hard to read and understand what you're trying to say, having a rough time. So just give me the link. I wonder if they put the link here. Should I subscribe to this for content's sake? I don't want to end up like Hakimi, you know, when people see things in my phone and then they start to wonder if I go and subscribe to Muse and the Muse living in Ghana next night trying to meet the Muse in Price Plaza and all these things. You know what I mean? Because for a few dollars more, who knows what kind of, kind of transaction could happen, you know what I mean? I have a couple US. But this is the situation now. I have no links here to any article, but I guess everybody wanted to remain anonymous. So, I do know of, from previous episodes, a few local content creators that are on OnlyFans and have a very buzzing OnlyFans presence. They have a buzzing OnlyFans presence. Oh my God, that was not intentional. They have a buzzing OnlyFans presence, but they also have they are very popular on Instagram and some of the other social sites as well, right? Ask me how I know, but I hope that they're making good money on OnlyFans. I remember in the early days before it had places like the X Video and the Pornhub and these places that local was a big thing. Remember when men used to ask you, local boy? If you know, I don't know where they had all the thing in the other areas. But in St. James, used to go by a man named Prince Video Club. You remember Prince? When Prince was on Madras Street, he used to go by Prince. And Prince used to charge more for local. You want regular, you know what I mean? We used to call it, what is my boy Pablo and them used to call it? I can't remember what he used to say now. If he used to say candy, Pablo had a code word for a little video and thing. But back then, he used to pay a little more if you're interested in local. So I feel like if it's an opportunity for us to earn foreign exchange by going here and provide, the girl say local content, so me if she's do it in Maracas and the Wild Fortress, you know what I mean, in Issa Right, there's Pitch Lake, that is the kind of local she mean, like, because to me, if DJ Anna and how they call him could make video all over up for George and thing, right? I mean, I like to put on the little DJ Anna and the little Simo when I home and people like me and that thing on the screen. And what's the next one name? Not Ojo. Oso City. He could do a Miami Beach and thing. I feel we have an opportunity to hit them a little Cumberland Hill. You know what I mean? Why not? I don't see why we can't get this done. And I don't feel this is for women alone. I feel like it only fans all the place. I mean, I know my body composition mightn't be 100% right now, but I could get there and OnlyFans all the place. And people everybody have a different fetish. Because there are some people on OnlyFans is a foot thing, and people have different interests. I wonder if anybody like a little punch, you know what I mean? What is called it now? Dad bod? How much you pay for a dad bod? If I do a Patreon and then I do a OnlyFans, I feel like in the game. Forex is on the way. But on a serious note, like some of the things like I use now, like I produce different podcasts. Salute to the folks at Cocoa Pod, the Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival. I produce their podcast now and they pay me in US dollars into a US account. It's beautiful. I like when them little checks come in. Remember to go and subscribe to them and check them out. That podcast does Caribbean authors and they read an excerpt from their book. So you hear the author reading in their own voice. So if you're into reading and stuff, especially Caribbean novels, I mean, I'm learning a lot from it. So salute Marsha Messiah and the team at BCLF. I learning a lot about the amount of writers we have. They publishing every week or every other week. So that's one of the things. I also joined a site called Upwork. I use Upwork for work, right? Like for graphic work and those types of things where I need people to do things. It's like what they call crowdsourcing. So rather than just using one graphic designer. What I do is I put out a brief and say exactly what I need to get done. And several designers bid, and you could interview them and everything. And I mean, you only know I'm terrible at posting thing. I'm gonna get somebody who gonna post and do all those things. And the last person I spoke to, she's in Nigeria. I didn't want to put her rate out there, but I'll tell you that it's much better than trying to find somebody here to do some of those things. It's a little more work because of language barriers and cultural issues. If I had somebody local, I could just tell them, listen to the whole episode and cut out whatever clips you find funny. But cultural context, I don't know if she will get it. But we could work together. We could figure it out. And it's one way of me getting some service or taking some things off my plate for what's not a prohibitively expensive price. And I realized, but wait, if I doing podcasts, I've done Birdie and Barney podcasts before. I've done a few things for BBC. Little things, right? Where they ask me to edit a file or get somebody to record. Lasana Library came here and record something for BBC before I edit and send for them and stuff. And they pay in US dollars. It's coming slow, but as collect it. And I cool with it. And I'm thinking, but if I have this and I have this little experience under my belt, why not create an Upwork site for creator, not just as a buyer, but also as a seller? And I've done that, and I have a few interviews lined up for podcast production and them kind of things. So who knows if the deal right and I could deliver for them and be a part of somebody else's journey with their podcasting and growing this stuff, and at the same time get enough money to get US where I don't have to go and carry something in the bank and tell them, well, I'll go in for 3 days, so I was 65 US. If I could get away from that, I'll do it. As well, they have another site called Fiverr, Five with 2 R's, I believe. Check that one too. They have several. Whatever your skill is, you could register on those things and you could get paid. I don't think you need a US account to get either. You could get paid to whatever account you have. And if that works for you, there's another opportunity for second income or passive, not passive because you had to work for it, but opportunity to earn either foreign exchange or a second income in your spare time, right? Who don't want a little second income in these hard times? And then LinkedIn is one of the spaces that is finding a lot, like people asking for virtual assistants. So some of the things I've seen listed for requests for virtual assistants, it's simple jobs. It's not anything that you need no sort of degree or nothing fancy to do, and people willing to pay for it because people, if we live in a world where people like contract type work and like to have multiple streams of income and work for multiple employers on their own terms, it means that you have real people who busy. And a virtual assistant might not be a bad investment for somebody if they focused on making money. And it might not be necessary for you to be in the same space to get the work done. I was talking about this with my class on globalization a couple of weeks ago, where virtual work starting to become one of the ways that people can do cross-border trade without ever having to leave. You had to go by country club and beg nobody for no visa. You could work for American companies or for American service providers or individuals from right here. And I feel like it's a good opportunity to get into more of that. So I'm leaving it up to you. It's either Upwork or Fiverr or do virtual assistants or just bust it open and open OnlyFans. You know what I mean? People, if they think pay, what are you going to do? I'm talking about busting it open. All you see them busted open in Jamaica is a heavy busting of them going over there. You know what I mean? Jamaica Carnival was over the last weekend and I saw a lot of Trinis participating in Jamaica Carnival. Both as service providers, artists, patrons, everybody seemed to want to be a part of Jamaica Carnival. Again, bigger and again, better. I can tell you, when I was in Jamaica and they had Carnival, I found it to be very disappointing. Let me say it was disappointing because I naively see the Caribbean as one place. So I expecting that Carnival, we too similar as people for Carnival to be so distant between Trinidad and Jamaica because they used to have a fete every weekend in a venue called Mass Camp. Mass Camp was nothing spectacular. It's in the middle of Kingston, really, New Kingston area. And I mean, it was all right, I guess. Every Friday night here in Mass Camp is the same. They bring one band or one performer, and it was a little bit sterile. And I will say that what you used to find in Mass Camp more than anything else is Trinis or other islanders who live in Jamaica. So you find a lot of UE students who come from the other islands, including Trinidad. But it wasn't a very Jamaican thing. So I remember going to mass camp on Friday night when Destra was there. At that time, Destra was Queen of Jamaica. Destra was the soca artist who they loved the most, right? And when Destra was there, that was one of the more full nights in mass camp. And I can't remember who the other artists I went and see the other weekends, but Destra was the biggest name. So there was no Marshall, there was no Bungie, no, Destra was the big artist, and she was like the finale. And the next night had Stone Love anniversary. Let me tell you something. It is chalk and cheese. Like that mass camp was ram for Stone Love anniversary. Versus the soca was a little sparse, you know what I mean? Though it was nice. I mean, I guess I was there and it was nice to see some soca and enjoy myself, but it wasn't much. And then I remember going up to Montego Bay and going to a fete called Beach Juve. In Beach Juve, they had a band and somebody was supposed to come who didn't come. Whoever was the headliner. And Michelle Xavier was the one who headlined the fete. And she did good, you know what I mean? She had the crowd moving. And it was like a typical, what we know as a beach juve now is paint and water and them kind of things. But on the beach, and their beaches, I suspect that would be a man-made beach. But it was really nice and clear water and all that. And when I say beach juve, it was in the night. It wasn't what we know as juve. And it shows you how, just like how some terms and colloquialisms change up a little bit when they cross waters, or the fact that we might say chenet here, but somebody else say guinep, and you know what I mean? There's some of that, there's a little bit of a corruption of the terms, because when we say juve, we expect it to be an early morning party, and when they say juve, they think it means paint and that kind of thing. It was clear to me at that time. So, I mean, that was what I must be talking about 2008, 2009, 10, that time, right? I was in Jamaica around that time. And it wasn't much. The little beach juve was nice and stuff. But what was very, very clear to me then was the experience I had leaving an all-inclusive resort to go to a fete and then getting to again air-conditioned transport to the thing. The fete with the resort was organizing shuttles. So it was they carry everybody who was going to the fete over there. They wait for us to come back from the fete. Everybody, seats plastic down. They carry us back. They set up an outdoor kind of shower thing by the pool so you could bathe off your thing. We had meals ready, and it's an all-inclusive resort, right? I could see back then that, hey, this is a major threat to what we call Carnival now, right? Because it is simpler. It is much cheaper. The fetes was cheaper. The costumes was cheaper. I mean, the parade of the bands was a joke, eh? And they don't say parade of the bands. They just say road march. Again, a corruption of the term. They think road march means like the marching on the road. I think, you know what I mean? Because their parade of the bands, they call it road march. And the road march used to come like if you leave from by the savannah, there by QRC. And you move all the way down to by Roxy, and then you take the main road, and the whole thing done. Everything finished. Whenever you reach there, the mass done. It had no designated time. The whole thing was one day of parade. There was no circuit and no lunch stop. It's just you walk down Trafalgar Road, you reach the end, you stop. Goodbye. The costumes was a little rickety. It was not worth the time, right? It wasn't worth the effort and the time. And it was not well subscribed. It was kind of empty on the road. That's a depressing thing to see. When I have a music truck going down the road and it had more wheels than people, you know what I mean? It's depressing to watch. But you could clearly see how this would be a threat to Trinidad Carnival. And I was thinking, listen, you don't have to do any of this in Kingston. Move the whole festival to the North Coast. Keep it between Ocho Rios, Montego Bay, and Negril. So that you have all your tourists, all your hotels, and your tourism infrastructure is already in place there. And you could do all different types of parties across that North Coast, and people will move. And I remember then there used to be a summer party called ATI, right? Absolute Temptation Island, I believe, was sponsored by Absolute Rum. And to me, it was ideal for a carnival. You could see how it would have the feel that you want and the type of hospitality that you're looking for, the different types of events, venues that would be breathtaking because of the views and the sea and the. Listen, you could see it coming. Add to that is easier to get a flight from Miami, or easier to get a flight from anywhere to Jamaica, Because Jamaica is already a very popular destination, not just because of sun, sea, and sand, but also because of ecotourism, because of the music. There's so much that they offer, and they built, at least the North Coast, is built for tourism in a way that Trinidad and Tobago just not built for tourism. Plus, add to that they have critical mass. So while we might call an event that have 25,000 people and Marshall singing out a tune as a huge event for Carnival, right? I went to a dance called Champions in Action. And boy, I don't want to exaggerate now, but let me tell you something. You see, VIP alone, VIP must have about 5,000-10,000. VIP is huge in Champions in Action. When I'm calling VIP, like a VIP for them is a fete for we. A whole fete could be their VIP. Like soca, how soca is be, that is their VIP. So they have the critical. I went to Red Bull, called a thing called Fluke Tag. That was one of the first events I went to. And listen, the amount of traffic just to come out today because there's so much people for that Red Bull Fluke Tag. It was a free event for. So when you see free events like that and several artists performing, you're talking about the whole village coming out. There's mother, child, grandmother, everybody on the lawn watching artists for the whole day. It is huge. I never went Sting. I went something. I went in a place called Pier 1 in Montego Bay. I can't remember now if it was a Clash or it was artists or what. But again, huge numbers. These venues very, very big compared to our venues and stuff. So you could see where they have some key advantages over us. And this is something that the Jamaica Carnival experience. I'm not talking about for me as a Carnival lover who born on my navel string berry here. And salute to Marsha again from BCLF. She's get vexed every time I talk about this. So she's got a real patriot. Ask her if she ain't going to Jamaica Carnival next year just so I can hear how much she will cuss, right? And let me tell you something. That Jamaica Carnival, unless you're born here and you have your navel string berry here, you want to see Midnight Rubber and Peregrinade and Dame Lorraine and Extempo and all the different elements of that make Carnival for us. I don't know that we have a Carnival that offers a better experience than Jamaica. I'm talking about the overall experience from flying into the country to flying out of the country. I do not know that what we have now can rival that. What I do know is, and let me get academic for a while, right? They used to teach us something in school about first mover advantages, right? First mover advantages is just basically the first person to go into an industry tends to have an advantage because their name becomes synonymous with the industry. So for instance, you have things like first movers in a territory. So like the way we call all 2-liter drinks are Jalita. It comes from Jalil, right? You start to associate yourself with the first big producer you had here. Or the fact that you will say Q-Tex or Pampers. You know, Pampers is a brand. Pampers is not the actual product. But if you make another version of that, what you're going to call it is a disposable diaper. Pampers, everybody going to call you Pampers anyway. 3M has a myriad of products like that, like Scotch tape, masking tape, mountain tape. All those are branded 3M things. But if you want to make one to rival them, you got to call it Scotch tape too, and that's them fellas' brand. So even in trying to market yourself, you end up marketing the first mover. So first mover advantages are a real thing in business. If you crack open my industry, you're onto something. Now, we might be first movers in terms of a carnival because anywhere that had not even just slavery, but anywhere that had the oppression in large numbers tends to have a celebratory, something that celebrates the freedom or acknowledges the work that was done to escape or to overcome, right? You tend to find that that's a normal thing everywhere in the world. But what I will say is we have some first mover advantages because we created this version of a carnival. Let me call it a Trinidad carnival, right? So you'll notice that even though we went to Jamaica, and Jamaica has a carnival that I say probably could be much better outside of the people who born in Trinidad, which keep in mind that the people who born in Trinidad is very few. We don't have a whole lot of Trinidadians. Trinidad is a small place. So for the outsider, it could be the better experience if you look at Jamaica, overall experience, right? But we do have some first mover advantages, and it shows because the artists that are booked and performing in Jamaica are mainly Trinidadians. You're going to need the Marshall, the Bungie, the Voice, and them to come over there. Iowa. I imagine live to see Iowa mashing up feds in Jamaica. I love it, but I never thought I'd see that. A lot of the promoters that we see over there are also Trinidadian promoters with Trinidad Carnival brands, right? And when I say Trinidad Carnival brands, a brand that originated here, but is all over the Caribbean and now is in Jamaica. So you find that the promoters do well, the artists do well. I don't know how much of them are bands. Let's assume that some bands went over and stuff. I believe I saw Kess there as well. So, and our music does well there. Even if you didn't get to go as an artist, your song getting played and promoted. You never know where your song will become a hit, right? You might find. I was looking at a thing online the other day with Cutty Ranks performing, and Cutty Ranks says he do Dame Tu Cosita. Dame Tu Cosita is his biggest song now, you know what I mean? So you never know where your hit will come from or who will what market will generate the buzz for you, right? So if your song's playing over there, even if you're not booked for it, it might mean a booking for you next year. So it's more exposure, bigger market, and by making any version of a Trinidad Carnival bigger, it benefits our local people. It benefits our carnival. So if we could expand our product by making a Berlin Carnival, Hollywood Carnival, a Jamaica Carnival, and then once we penetrate those markets, we make it bigger. The spoils, or some of the spoils, will come back to the first mover. I want to say that we also have something I will call country of origin advantage, right? Country of origin advantage is a real thing. So, for instance, German vehicles, or champagne that comes from France, or a cigar that comes from Cuba. It is about the country of origin. People care about where it comes from, or a Swiss watch, those things. So the fact that we have a Trinidad Carnival is a huge plus to the way we can market ourselves. Yes, we have an exported version of the Carnival, if I could use that term, by the Jamaica, the Hollywood, the Notting Hill, the Caribbean, and the Miami Carnival. You have exported versions of it everywhere that we have our tentacles in, because the road march for Trinidad still tends to be the road march everywhere else that we have a version of a Trinidad Carnival. I wanna exclude places like Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, who their carnival is homegrown, right? I'm more talking about the countries who wasn't soca countries before, and we take this and carry it for them there, right? That road march tends to be, so the biggest song in Jamaica Carnival is still Small Fete. I feel like while people might see it as a threat, you ever do a SWOT analysis? When I only went to school, the opportunities and the threats. I mean, it really depends on how you look at it. You know what I mean? I always tell students, don't just put SWOT and you say large organization, that is a threat. That is not a threat in and of itself. I want to see why you call it a threat. How you label it a threat is more important than the fact that you put it as a threat. You must be able to tell me why you see it as a threat. And if you see it as a threat, there might be another student who sees that same thing as an opportunity. And it's dependent on the point of view, which is fine. Both of them could be right. So I do see Jamaica's Carnival as a threat. I think it's a huge threat. I think we're playing and we're not getting anything right. And we forgetting that entrepreneurs is entrepreneurs. And just like our man could leave Guyana and build Movie Tongue and build a nice future for himself here, and now that Guyana booming, he's gonna do the same thing over there and maybe not pay as much attention to the Movie Tongue or the empire he built here by saying, listen, forget Shagona, so you want to raise your rent, that's alright, I go in Guyana anyway and make more money than here because they're booming and here not, right? The same way that could happen. We could put ourselves in a position to either benefit from these things greatly or just lose out. So I think while the threat is there, the opportunities are there, but I think you could only exploit the opportunities if you're deliberate about it. Well, when I say deliberate about it, you plan for it. We have an organized approach to it. We know what we want out of it. Because if I go into bigger markets that have more capacity, because every one of them places I called is bigger markets than here. One of the big complaints about Trinidad Carnival is there's nothing else to do here. So when you go to a Miami Carnival, you could go and shop, you could go and do different things that outside of the carnival. I'm not talking to Trinidad because I know all they want the immersive experience. But other people who we trying to attract and get foreign exchange from, may want a different type of experience, and a lot of these territories are poised to give a much better version of that experience than us. I think we need to make more use of our first mover advantages and our country of origin advantages, because why I love Trinidad Carnival is because of the immersive nature of it. And I want to know, if I'm going to have 20 Carnival around the road, I have 20 Trinidad Carnival every year, right? One is in Trinidad and 19 is in 19 other countries who don't know nothing about Carnival. I go teach them what it is. And they import everything from me. We must have a plan for what percentage of those people we want to convert to people who come to the country of origin to see what it is. Let me give you an example, right? Coca-Cola in Atlanta, you could go there and do a tour of their factory and see how they make Coke and sit down in a little movie and all. We have an opportunity to do all those things here, because if you go to Jamaica and you fall in love with Trinidad Carnival, there is naturally going to be a percentage of people who might say, nah boy, if there's a Jamaica version, I want to see what Trinidad look like. No, I don't want us to do that. I saying have a planned, deliberate approach. Just like how I planning to see what percentage of my listeners now go pay me a $5 or $10 to listen to me on Patreon, or pay me to see me bust it open on OnlyFans. You could look at that percentage too. You say, well, all right, this carnival in Jamaica attracts 500,000 people. Let me say 10% of them. I want to see if I could convert 5%, 1%. I want to convert a certain amount of them to come to my carnival. I must add up all them 1% everywhere and say, Jesus Christ, we need more hotel rooms now. If we had to attract these people, we need a better experience. We need an all-inclusive hotel. We need that. We need this infrastructure and put that in place. And then we need to create the Coca-Cola experience or the CNN experience, who does a similar tour in Atlanta, or the Angostura experience, where you could go there and get a tour of the factory and see how the sauce is made, right? So when I bring people here, I show them, well, yes, you do the beads and the thing, because that is all they have to offer there. And yes, you do the street parade and you do some fetes and you do some Juve. But I want to carry and show you what real Juve is. What's the origin of Juve? I want to carry and show you what Despa's brand new patent looking like. I want to show you what Calypso this song like. I want to show you what's Extempo. I want to show you what's Cambule Rats. I want to carry and show you Tricanal musical event that they have. You know, but if we don't do this, what could happen is you can erode your own first mover advantages and your own country of origin advantages by we ourselves failing to tie the thing back to the homeland. Because Rolex go let you know where they come from, and BMW go let you know where them come from, and Dom Perignon go let you know which part them come from. This is not the man not making joke with them kind of thing. The man telling you if you do come from here, you're not even champagne, much less a brand of champagne. You gotta call yourself something. You're from Italy, go and call yourself Prosecco. You're not champagne, you're not from here. You get where I'm coming from? So again, while I feel that if I was to label Jamaica Carnival, I would label it as an opportunity. But I will say that if we not organized enough and make sure that we continuously tie the thing back, a few things going to start happening, because Jamaica, I don't want to knock anybody, right? Jamaica has some things that they are more advanced at us than. We are way more advanced at them than at a carnival experience, right? They now starting to know what is a carnival experience. And for me as a Trini, it's probably not going to be good, right? But they're more advanced than us in certain areas. They have bigger producers who have done more global work than we have done, right? So I want to go as far as to say they have more in quantity and they have more in quality, the producers that they have. They also have bigger artists and more artists than we have here. It's almost soca singers versus dancehall and reggae, right? Soca and calypso versus dancehall and reggae. Don't get vexed with me, but the quality of music that they would put out, or the reach of the music that they have put out as dancehall and reggae music, would be further than the reach collectively of what we have for soca and calypso. Now, we do have some calypsonians like Lord Melody and thing via Harry Belafonte. We have soca and calypso that reach very, very far. Just saying that the quantity that they would have, you're not going to pay Bob Marley alone, right? Beanie Man and Sean Paul and Shaggy alone. It's they reach further. They also have better access to bigger markets for their music, because while we penetrated markets city by city by playing carnivals all over, they have a music that might be more universally accepted than anybody else. And I talk about the thing what we find is garbage, I talking about from the wap wap to the London dun 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 dun. I talk about the whole spectrum of it, So give me the girl, let me the wickedest, any version of it, So no woman, no cry. You just name what version of it is, and they have more access to bigger markets, right? They have a more advanced tourism product. They have way more hotel rooms. So they have an opportunity to disassociate themselves completely from the country of origin and just call this Jamaica Carnival. Say that is homegrown for us. Yes, Grenada, St. Lucia, Barbados, and them have a carnival of their own that they homegrow a long time. But we homegrow our own from 2008, right? When Corey reached it, right? And what you're going to find will happen, right? You're going to find more dancehall artists now do more soca type songs. And I'm saying soca type songs because they don't even have to do soca. They could do a song with a soca type bop. Let me give you an example, right? The bop is the bop, right? And in Carnival is a simple thing. I'm talking about fete and street parade and thing. Is a chip for chip, chip for chip, chip. And I time your left foot and right foot and I come behind now. And there's a time and there's a motion, there's a flow. All we had as Caribbean people, everybody who come here have it, right? I want to tell you that while, let me give you an example, right? Like Shaggy song. Big up, all of the woman them big up, boom, boom, shorts if you big up, whoa, I say back it, bend up, stand up, that have a soca bop, right? It's not a soca, it's a reggae song, right? But if you play it on the road, you could, in the same chip that you're chipping going down the road, you ain't breaking stride when you play that song, and there are many songs like that. And again, the artists, they could adjust, they could do what it takes. So when their artists see what soca pulling in, like I see Ding Dong and them on a truck mashing up the road, they are going to sing more because if you look at Ding Dong as an example, sing holiday, yeah, holiday. Them thing is a soca, but it's not much different than what the groovy artists singing now. So if we play the fool and them men start to sing soca type music, because the Bounty Killer is the hardest artist to have, and he done dressing in a soca type bop already. All of a sudden, Bounty shirt and short pants outfit is the greatest thing I've seen. He done start to soca up himself already, because if the men seeing opportunity, a different way to make money, a different way to get a hit than what they're working with in the current genre or the current market, they're going to do it, and they're going to do more of it. If Jamaican promoters seeing Trini coming here and making money, look at Sun Nation Jamaica. Sun Nation Jamaica is one of the biggest events there for Jamaica Carnival, and it quickly becoming one of the biggest events we have for Trinidad Carnival. So you'll find that the very advantages that we have, if we play with them too much, they will be eroded and they will forget who is the country of origin. And let me tell you something. You see that same country of origin advantage, when you lose it, somebody else could be deemed the country of origin. And you saying down here, say, hey, is we who make this? This is not much different historically than what's happened, because I hear Jamaicans argue all the time that the roots of hip-hop music is in fact reggae. It come from dancehall, it come from toasting, it come from the early ones, or the Cool Herc, and I believe it's Cool Herc, one of the originators of rap had Jamaican roots. Biggie Smalls, who a lot of people say is the number one, mother was Jamaican, had Jamaican roots and so on. And you find it with a lot of rappers and stuff, right? But I want you to go and listen to Bob Marley talking on a BBC interview and saying himself, and is well known, that the original where reggae came from was from ska came reggae, right? So ska was dance and drink and that kind of thing, and it eventually evolved into reggae. That was a heavier beat that could deal with more serious topics, slow down and everything, right? So to take care of the weed that you smoke, you had to slow down that ska a little bit, right? But it came from calypso, and if you want to go and Google who's Lynn Tate and so on, a lot of reggae would have come out of calypso and kumina and stuff, which is to me a combination of our music and blending with their experiences, what would have created. So the country of origin for reggae globally is not seen as Trinidad in any way, shape, or form. Whereas it may have been at one point in time. So just like how now we're moving into this new phase and new people born all the time and old people gone all the time, you might find that while we close VI, we leave this place and now Jamaica make Carnival. And what we have is some real old version. So we end up with Calypso on we hand, where we're trying to sell to 1.2 million people, and they end up with reggae on their hand that's selling to billions. So just my take on this. I've beat that topic completely to death. As a matter of fact, I don't think I could talk about that too much more because, I mean, what more is there to say? I think we just at a stage now where we had to observe what happens as we go along. And hopefully we, as a collective, get ourselves together where that is concerned and make sure that we protect what we have. I am all for exporting and sharing what we have and being inclusive and involved in that. You know me on that. I don't think champagne would have been what it was if you could have only drink it when you're in Champagne. You had to make it global for it to succeed. But I would say it had to be well organized, it had to be protected, and we had to make sure that it remained ours. What else is that to talk about here? A few things, right? First, I see an article here that I just had to touch on real quick here because of my sugarness experience. I ain't accustomed to this in St. James, but I see something saying WASA to introduce water restrictions. I think it's the single greatest headline I've ever seen. Because them men saying moderate to below normal rainfall is in the forecast for the next 3 months. I just want to say in Shogunas here, water is a problem. Like we can't get water at all, not for hell or high water. And I surprised to hear them say, I thought the restrictions was on already. I'm shocked at this idea that WASA is like, no matter how wet the rainy season is, once the dry season, we in trouble. And I've had to pay for water 3 times over the last couple months. And it makes me wonder how come it have no water on the line, right? But it have trucks. Everywhere you go, you're seeing water trucks working hard. And the people from WASA come and say, well, it might have a racket running where they're turning on water pressure purposefully so that they could sell more water when you're supposed to be able to get WASA water trucks for free, right? But I mean, you can't end the racket in this country. And in that same breath, I saw an article saying that Trinidad and Tobago is ranked number 6 in the world in crime, right? I suppose like per capita ranking. So this is from Gail Alexander in The Guardian. TNT has been listed as number 6 by the World of Statistics for being among the most criminal countries in the world. WS list most criminal countries was released on Wednesday. The WS website describes itself as a global network of nearly 2360 organizations, which is committed to compiling statistics to increase public awareness. If I'm not mistaken, that same World of Statistics was a big source for COVID information when they were doing country comparisons and so on. So in the WS rankings of the world's most criminal countries on the list, Venezuela has been ranked top. So we 6th and we close to the 1st. Papua New Guinea 2nd, Afghanistan 3rd, South Africa 4, Honduras 5, and Trinidad 6. Guyana right behind 7. So listen, Syria, Somalia, Jamaica is 9. No, Jamaica 10, sorry. So Guyana is 7, Jamaica 10, Venezuela 1. We're not just in a crime haven, we're surrounded by criminals as well. You know what I mean? This may not end well. But, I mean, the Minister of National Security pretty much said that, listen, me ain't responsible for no crime plan. I know exactly what a minister's supposed to do. All you know me and the optics, right? Because whether he right or not about what a Minister of National Security should do, I would think that with the crime situation in this country, if I were him, I would be worried about being Minister of National Security and saying something like, the crime plan is not my responsibility. I just find personally that it sounds a little bit like you're washing your hands of the thing, and even if you're right about what you're saying, This is the thing with leadership, you know. I don't see myself in any way saying anything like that if I'm in a position. I'd rather say, listen, this is something we're working on all the time. The crime plan is something that I want to contribute to as much as possible, because this is not a problem just for the people who are victims of crime. We're all victims. I don't know, sometimes for Gerald Hines and the way his language things, he's a hard fella to follow, you know, and a hard fella to listen to. And I mean, more than anything, I guess I had to take back everything I said before, is because I really did ask many times for my politicians to just be entertaining. And if nothing else, Fitzgerald Hines is entertaining, boy. I ain't lying. He's a man. When you hear him talk and so on, he quoted as saying, a minister of government does not generate or create a crime plan. This is a matter for the police commissioner, the defense force that supports the police. I know exactly what my responsibilities are as a minister, and it does not involve me creating a crime plan. I mean, like, dude, why would you say that? But I guess his style of leadership is more about pontificating. You know, when you talking, you like to pontificate and say words in a certain way with authority, and you know what I mean. Look up at people and drop asleep with authority when you're talking, more than any kind of substance. But again, salute to him, because I did ask to be entertained, right? But this is all against the backdrop of CARICOM having its regional symposium this week in Trinidad and Tobago. I understand the Hyatt jam pack of people in the Hyatt, you know what I mean? The Hyatt is the spot where these all the leaders stay in and meetings happening. And of course, one of the key things is crime in the region. If we have 3 people in the top 10, 4 if you count Venezuela, we in some trouble. I don't think Venezuela in this, right? Yeah, CARICOM. So, reading from the Jamaica Observer, Regional Symposium on Violence ends with declaration of war on guns. This is from the 18th of April. Caribbean communities, CARICOM leaders ended a 2-day regional symposium on violence as a public health issue, declaring war on guns to combat the illegal trade, which they said provides weapons that contribute significantly to crime and violence in our region. In addition, the delegates attending the symposium included academics, crime experts, police commissioners, and religious and non-governmental organizations. Said they are alarmed by the epidemic of crime and violence in the Caribbean. They said it's being fueled by illegal guns and organized crime gangs that pose a threat to our democracy and the stability of societies. In the declaration titled War on Guns, the regional leaders said they were also calling on the United States to join the Caribbean in our war on guns and urgently adopt and take action to stop the illegal exportation of firearms and ammunition into the Caribbean. We lament the disproportionate share of our national budgets that we are compelled to allocate to measures to address crime, violence, and national security, as well as mental health and other health-related challenges that directly result from the illegal exportation of guns to our shores, the CARICOM leaders said. We underscore our commitment to utilize all human, financial, and other resources to rid our region of the scourge of illicit weapons that the regional leaders said in their declaration, adding, we reiterate that the Caribbean must be a zone of peace, which would allow us to achieve our goal of a secure, stable, and prosperous community for all our citizens. I mean, I like the declaration. I kind of like this stance. Like, I was listening to the doc talk, the Rollers was saying that basically high-powered weapons, they were calling on a ban regionally for domestic use of high-powered weapons. Did I say that right? Like, in other words, a civilian should not have access to high-powered weapons. You have to stick to a little pie, and we good to go. Now, the argument against that would be, unless Ole could rid the streets of the batata, then Ole had to give you one of them too. Ole can't have the batata and I have pie. It's not going to work. That's the argument, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, the states have a philosophy of we need guns in case the state turn against us. I don't know how much of a discussion that is here at all. I don't think any of the gun collectors here have the rhetoric that, listen, rollers and camlers and them go take over one day and I need guns to protect ourselves from rogue governments. I think it's just crime. So they're saying that, listen, only pie for citizens if you need to protect cash or protect yourself or protect your household and you have enough either money, power connections or luck to get a fuel in this country. Then you will only get the pie. And they're asking the US to stop all the guns coming into our country. Like, oh, they tell us stop the powder from coming by you, you stop the guns from coming here. No rollers, or between me and you, right? I'm not sure if that was a good reference because I'm not so sure if we're doing a great job of stopping the powder from going up there. I feel like the powder might be part of the reason that we have so much violence. Hey, but anyway, you know better than me. You have all these statistics. You have the world of statistics like them fellas. So I think it's a decent stance. I like the idea that we're coming up with this stance as a region, and hopefully it works in such a way. Let me give you the utopian view, right? Where you say only pistols and them things available for people for personal protection, so that anybody who with something other than a pistol, you automatically know it's illegal and you can address it. But that's the utopian view, because I don't know that legal FUL holders here walking around with long guns and them kind of thing and barking them at the night. Some of the kind of things you hear in some areas like Shogunas at night. I would be surprised if it's legal firearm holders doing that anyway. But I mean, you had to try something, yes. All right, to wrap up here, to try something. I read an article this week and I found it to be quite interesting. So let me share it with my gracious listeners. I tell all you thanks. I appreciate all you tune in and listen to this. I really appreciate all you. But since people has been looking for it, I was trying to keep it real here, right? And I have something that I'm considering. I need some advice from the listeners on, right? To the listenership. I'm putting this out there for people because I read that OnlyFans thing, and to be honest with you, I inspired. You know what I mean? $50 million for the year on OnlyFans. And as I said, maybe I was a little hesitant and you know the avoidance thing you'll be going through sometimes psychologically when you need to do something important and you're not getting to it. Maybe that's what take me so long to edit that episode from Nick, and so I decided, listen, when I edit the episode and I put it up, I book in a session with Nick one time, right? And when I went through my finances with Nick on Monday, I realized it's water, mud, and flour. Right? The income's not supporting the lifestyles, right? The incomes is not supporting the lives. So something had to change. We had to do something different. So, as I say, the Patreon is an option. You know what I mean? As much as we are listeners, we're looking for support when Patreon pages come. But I'm looking for OnlyFans support too. Because I feel I could make a little thing on the Patreon, but I feel the OnlyFans is where I had them, you know? And I'm trying to get a sense for what kind of content people might want on OnlyFans. What they want to see me do. What they want to bring Stacey in the OnlyFans. She wouldn't, I mean, that family income is what Nick tell we need. So family income means family work, right? So we could do a thing, you know. We could make this thing happen, you know what I mean? We could get this thing jumping off. And I tell myself, well, for me to get the kind of money I need to make, because the shortfall big. You understand what I'm saying? The shortfall is huge. And I tell the shortfall huge, but me so huge. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I could attract the kind of dollars that I really need to attract. But I did see on Hollywood Unlocked this week a Minnesota man reportedly spent $170,000 on 2 leg lengthening surgeries to help him grow 5 inches taller and help him build more confidence in the dating scene. And I feel like it's something I want to explore. You know what I mean? It's just between me and Ollie, right? If I could, I mean, 170,000 is for leg extension, right? I mean, if I had to get extension that can't cost that much. I mean, 5 inches in the leg, minimum for 5 more inches. And if you give me a too long and too wide, if I get too long or too wider, then that's something people might be willing to come on and pay for. But when I see they talking about this thing, and the doctors who did the surgery and so on say, boy, it's an extremely painful surgery. And this man went through the surgery twice to do his legs. When I say went through it twice, not once on each leg. Yeah? I mean, he did it once and get some length, and then he went again and get back some more height again. And I find, you know, the kind of thing one man is have to go through. One man could go through this and only a woman go in good conscience, right? Look at the kind of thing man had to go through to get best thing. And then only go take half. Well, you go really take, if I make 5 inches, only go take 2.5 and then 5 inches, but wicked, you know. But these are things that I could consider doing if I take and invest now And I know I need to work out the ROI with all I tell them how much people are interested, because if I could grow some inches, tall and wide, I must attract a little more money. And then I saw as well that male plastic surgery becoming more and more popular. And I say, but this is not a bad idea at all. So reading from the insider here, Miami plastic surgeon reveals the top plastic surgery trends for men, including fake ab surgery. I'm going to need that. Because my real abs don't work. They don't work. And buccal fat removal, I don't know what is buccal fat removal, but I sure have buccal fat. Me know exactly what it is, but I feel like if I had that. So they're saying here liposuction is one of the most popular ones. Buccal fat. Alright, let me see what is buccal fat. Buccal fat for a chiseled jaw is hot. Okay. So buccal fat or cheek fat removal is trending among younger male patients, Rubinson said. For the procedure, surgeons make an incision in the cheek to remove fat, which creates a more defined jaw and cheekbone. And that I real buccal fat. I grow a beard to hide my buccal fat. Me know it's a surgery for that. So the liposuction, he says, by far the most requested procedure among men, and is generally most popular cosmetic surgery in the US. All right, so we write to the woman, right? We will take the little body fat. Men mostly want to get rid of stubborn areas like the chin. Again, the beard hiding the chin. The chin, the belly. I don't make a priority. Listen, the chin, the belly. That can't go away easy from diet and exercise, or lack of diet and lack of exercise, or overdoing the diet in my case. But they say they could give you a form of liposuction that is hot right now among men. It's called abdominal etching surgery, which creates the appearance of a toned six-pack by removing the fat around where the ab muscles are. Rubinstein said in the past, men would only get fake ab surgery for Hollywood-style 8-pack, but nowadays, his patients are more interested in a natural-looking. Wait now. If women in Hollywood was doing all these procedures all the time, all these people who we forming these body image issues with in Hollywood, all they was doing this long time, or what's all this situation? Because see, man who was balding like LeBron turned out to have full head of hair and thing now, all he was absing up on me and all that, and me not. I know his situation. Well, else all they have buccal fat and liposuction. More men want facelifts and anti-aging treatments to keep them looking younger. I feel like that. Rubinstein said facelifts have become more important among his male patients, many of whom are working later in life and want to compete with younger candidates for job positions. I feel I'm working OnlyFans. During a facelift, doctors tighten up the skin that is sagging due to age and pull it up by, oh God, they're snipping off the excess. This could be a lot, They say fewer patients are traveling internationally to get transplants. So here, transplants. I hear Turkey is the spot. When you go to Turkey and they put the transplant here, I think I had to talk to Nick again, because, everything on this list seeming like a little bit of a high priority thing for me. Everything seeming a little bit high priority, and it looking like my only way back. And I feel I could get more money. So the ROI is the thing, I'm going to add up the cost of all these different surgery and so on, and see what can I really get myself for my money, and go up the list. Because what woman is doing, see what these women smart, and this how they get halfway money, right? They just put on the list of things, because hardly anybody who would do surgery just do one. So what they will say is, here we're going on. We go open with a little lift, A little lift. You just lift things up, You lift it up. So we go open with a little lift and we go catch one, right? We will catch one at this level, because he don't know nothing, and he don't even know that is a lift. He think that's how I born, and he can't get nothing so in his life, but he having. So we go get we go take half of what he have. And then we'll take that half left he did, because he can't keep up with this. He's a stepping stone. He's not the end product. So I'll take he half, because he half smaller, but he half could pay for the BBL. So I don't do the lift and thing, and I talk and thing, and I do the BBL now. I'll catch a next boy now, because he playing in a different ball game. And I'll take he half. So you see, it's a half ladder. This is a half step ladder going up the road, where we're going to earn everything that we need to earn to get where we need to get who we need to get them half. That means a simple process. And then I get out here, I'm leaving all you with a good piece of calypso to close off the week. We talk about plenty thing. I miss a little week. People kind of give me all kind of talk, and I don't understand. A man can't take a time off I think you're entitled to 14 days sick leave a year. What's the laws in this country? It are no sick leave law and so on. I need my time too, you know. Always when only taking time off from listening, nobody else or anything. So before I get out of here, I'll leave in all this one. We done in the spirits of the mighty power, right? And as we in the spirits of man and woman business too. Hear what power has to say now. Hey, hear how hard the talk man working in this.
Traveling from Port of Spain in a taxi one day, I meet a nice young lady. Traveling from Port of Spain in a taxi one day, meet a nice young lady. So I tell she how I love she,
yes,
and I want to get married. I say, darling, I love you true. One day I'm coming home to look for you. She say, yes, you're wasting your time, man, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Why worry about me? I am a fella ready. He's an oyster vendor, and that is my husband. I'm Mistress Alexander. I say, well, girl, tell me, don't worry, but you mustn't lie to me, because I know I still man can't have this kind of woman. Rouge up so and looking sweet, mouth fixed up with nice gold teeth. Tell me what to do, darling, I'm really in love with you. She say, yes, you're wasting your time, man, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time, why worry about me? I have me fella ready. He's an oyster vendor, and that is my husband. I'm Mistress Alexander. I said the only Alexander I know, the one with just sing calypso. That hip hop and tema so ugly, they just call him the Lord Melody. She said, I want you to understand, I never yet like an ugly man, so better hush your mouth. Is the next Alexander I'm talking about. But she said, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your time. Why worry about me? I am a fella ready. He's an oyster vendor, and that is my husband. Power Mistress Alexander.
Kaiso. Hey, I go talk to all you next week, you know. Let's stay safe, stay good, have a productive week. School open back. Congrats to all them children who went back out to school good. Congrats to all the parents who waking up early and facing the traffic again. And I will talk to all you next week, bright and early Tuesday morning.